management quadrant. Yeah. So you have these 4 equal parts for your money, and so each of them is what? How many percent is each of them? Each of them is 25%. Now, this is a good thing for you to pay attention to when you get money, regardless of how much it is, because it's percentage. This is how you should, or this is a good way. I mean, it was I learned this from a Jewish guy, and I think the Jews are about some of the best people that handle money. The Jews, Lebanese, these people from the Middle East, they seem to be wise people in handling money. And so this is what I learned, and this is what I have applied over time. So in this quadrant, you have this, bills. What are bills? Bills are things that are necessary for you to keep alive. You're going to pay electricity bills, you're going to pay grocery bills, you need soap, you need cream, you need food, milk, cereal, meat, you need cooking gas. Your bills, you need transportation. All these are your bills. They help you keep alive. In this quadrant, you want to have this investments. This helps you keep an eye on the future. You don't want to eat everything now. You earn 100,000 naira, for instance. You spend that much. You want to invest that much, because if you earn 100, like I said yesterday, even if you start out on a job and they're paying you 10 million naira this month, 10 million naira a month. If you work there for 2 years, guess what you want? More money. Progression is a part of life. Your investments help you do that. You don't want to rely on somebody. You don't want to sit down and say, oh wow, I believe that my boss is sent from heaven to make sure I have an increase all my life. No, you have to take control of your own finances and create your own increase. You do that through your investments. Yeah. In this quadrant, we're going to do this. Giving. This usually brings up a lot of arguments. Some people write in this quadrant and they say saving. But I think you should do investments instead of savings. And when you do investments, then what are savings for anyway? Anyway, by the time I explain this, you will understand a bit more. And then in this quadrant, you want to have this. Who knows the meaning of chattels? Google it. Chattels means, things like utensils, utilities, like a car. A car is a chattel. A wristwatch is a chattel. The clothes you wear, the suit you wear, chattels. Even money can be a chattel. So this is money that is not going into investments. It's just money that, just flash cash, they call it. Yeah? They're chattels. You want to have things around. A phone is a chattel. Paintings, furniture, TV, all these things. Camera. So chattels can be things of great value at times, or they can be toys, or they can be tools. But these are things you need in your life also. So people argue, but I shouldn't buy a car right now. Many times you do need a car. And chattels improve your own sense of value. People look at you and say, oh wow, he has all these things. Yeah, people just call them things. Appropriate word for it is chattels. Wristwatches. In some cases, these are things that you can you can pass down to other generations, like jewelry. You can pass it down to other generations. A car A car will most likely lose value, but you can sell a car depending on the type of car. I know some cars don't have much resale value, but some cars, even at 60 years old, a Rolls Royce will still have some nice value, especially if it's well maintained. Yeah. So I've talked about bills. I'm going to talk a bit more about bills. Bills, you want to keep bills low. So let me give the example of you earning, say you earn 100,000 naira in a month. Yeah. So how much will 25% of that be? 25,000 naira. So that's 25,000 naira for each of those quadrants. So somebody looks at this and says, wow, how do I earn 100,000 naira and then keep my bills at 25,000 naira? You know, I have to pay house rent, I have to pay, for water, I have to buy food, I have to take transport, I have to do all these things. And I find that the typical problem we have is that we spend too much on bills. That's why you always have a problem here. So if I ask anybody here, where do you live? You rent your own house? You stay alone? You stay with how many people? You stay with two other people. Do you split the rent amongst yourself? Who pays the rent? You pay the rent. Great. But you don't want to be doing that. You stay alone? You stay with who? Your roommate. Do you split the rent? Great. Do you? You stay alone. So only you pays the rent and pay all the bills in the house. You cook and only you eat the food. You know, the amount of gas you used to cook for one person is the same amount of gas you used to cook for 4 people. I'm just telling you. So if 4 people bought that gas, it goes further. You stay alone? 3 other people. Who pays the rent? You split it. That's where you want to be. You stay with other people. Who pays the rent? You split it. That's where you want to be. Now, so I learned something. I had Indian colleagues, in several countries that I worked in. And I found that the Indians, they have this way of life, which I found interesting. So on a Saturday, if you go to any recreation center, the beach, it's packed full with people. So many people. So many Indians at the beach. I'm wondering, what's the excitement? You guys like the beach. And so I prodded my friend Jawad a number of times, and he told me, he said, okay, let him tell me something. That no, it's not that they like the beach. Now, Jawad was my colleague and possibly was earning about $100,000 a year at that time. With $100,000, you can imagine you can even build a house or rent anywhere. But Jawad was staying with his parents. And not just his parents, he was staying with his 2 other brothers. His 2 brothers. He was married. They were married. And everybody stays in the same house. I think it was a 3-bedroom house. Now that seems insane. But guess what that does? It brings the bills very low. So I guess he's not even spending 25% of his money on bills. So when they're in the house, so because they are, parents and then 3 couples in that house. So you can imagine that it's tough for a man and his wife to have privacy. So what they do is that on the weekend, everybody else leaves the house and they have a roster. So this weekend, it's you and you, it's your turn, your couple, you have the whole house to yourself for that weekend. And then during the week, all the men stay in one room, all the women stay in one room, the parents have their own room, the children sleep wherever they want to sleep. And that's the system that they run. Like I said, they keep the bills very low, but guess what happens? Boom. India has many factories because of this. Many. There's almost no Indian family that doesn't have a factory right now. There most likely are, but when I say that, anybody who is earning money has this. You know, the Prime Minister of Britain right now, I think he has Is it that he was born in Pakistan or India? So the Pakistanis and Indians are quite similar. I think he's Indian. He has Indian, Hindu roots. You know, he's almost a billionaire. Do you know that? You know, he's extremely wealthy. How much is he worth? Rishi Sunak. He's worth about 800 and something million dollars. How does a person make that money? Boom. You want to keep this low. No, see, you really have to learn this. If not, life will play you hard. Life will play you hard. You will go 20 years and realize that, boom, you have done very poorly here, you have done very poorly here. And then under here, I'm sure you've read your Bible enough. Jesus said, "Depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I was hungry, and you did what? I was thirsty, I was naked, and you..." This is what you use that money for. So instead of saving it, and that's what he meant when he says, do not store up treasure for yourself on earth, but store it where, what? Moth, rust cannot reach. Where is that place? When you give to the orphans, when you give to the widows, you give to the hungry, you give to the sick. That's how you store. The story of Lazarus and the rich man. What was that story? Lazarus was there at his gate. The rich man didn't give him much. This is how you store. This is how you invest in eternity. This is how you invest in eternity. That's what you use that money for. But then you are here arguing about, oh no, I can't give 10%, or it's not even 10%, here it is, 25%. There are people that are going to need things. Your friends will come out. Is there any time your friends don't ask you for money? That's where you get that money from. Do your parents ask you for money? That's where that money comes from. Maybe you are lucky, nobody asks you for money, but there are people who get asked for money. Yeah? And as you progress in your career, they will start to ask you for money. Yeah, it's part of life. You want to give people. You want to give your nephew things. You know, you want to visit your relatives. You want to give the small children things. You want everybody to call you a great uncle or a great auntie. Yeah.
So how do we ask for people that think very tight?
Yeah.
Are we using that giving or we subtract it from the name?
No, don't subtract it. It's here. So you have tithes and offerings. So tithe is 10%. Offerings are also part of it. You give to widows. You give to orphans. You give to less fortunate people around you. Allocate this amount of money. Now, the reason you want to do this is so that, you know, you don't want to, you have to give intelligently. You do not want to be giving emotionally. There are clear rules of, let me call them guidelines for giving. The problem is that many people get emotional, and there are cases of people who give a car and then 4 weeks later they go back to, no, I want my car back. They take the police and, I mean, Pastor, how many people have heard of those cases? Because you're emotional. You gave it emotionally. But if you give it with wisdom, with logic and strategy, according to guidelines, this is a guideline. Use this. Give. It's not an emotional thing. You should be able to dispense with this. Not dispense, but it's an investment. First, we talked about security. Spirituality and security. That 10% first secures everything else you are doing here. That's what ensures that when you pay your bills, they don't cheat you. And you don't buy a piece of land and then 5 years later you discover that the papers were fake. This is what gives security for you. I mean, apart from your due diligence, but I'm telling you, look, you think you can't be scammed? I'm telling you, it will be like they hypnotized you. You are aware of what is going on. You don't want to do it. But somehow, you just find yourself giving that money. There are forces at work. You live in a world where psychic powers work. If you want to fool yourself, it doesn't work, feel free. There are people who come and talk to you, and you give, and you suddenly become aware. You say, what did I do? You want to protect yourself. You want your investments to count. Not that you buy bags of beans that you want to resell, and then 2 days after you go and open a bag of beans, you just see what? Weevils. It happens. And you're wondering how. I put pepper inside this thing. I just bought the thing. It was fresh when I bought it yesterday. Look, you want to be You want to have wisdom. And this is wisdom. When I saw this, I said, wow, I think I've been doing things wrong. Yeah? You want this because this gives you a sense of achievement. You want to look back. You don't want to be resentful. See, this is what happens. Sometimes people give without any guideline. And then they become what? Disgruntled. This is why people now start going on, and they're right. People who say, no, this thing doesn't work. Yeah.
So I heard about this one place where things and maybe like your account.
Why should you empty it? If you are giving it sacrificially, no, look, let me tell you something. It's better to be disciplined than to be emotional. It's better you do this for 1 year than to empty your account. How many times are you going to do that? And then you trek home. And then you feel disgruntled. You look, you have no food to eat. Your electricity is cut. You are hoping, oh God, a miracle will happen. If you've done it before, how many times does that miracle happen? How many times? When you start to have a family, I'm not sure you'll be quick to empty your account because your child does not understand that you emptied your account and now I can't eat. You understand? You can do it when you are young. You know, it's yourself. You can go hungry. You can barge into somebody's room, eat the remaining beans in the pot. You can do all that. When you now have people who depend on you, how are you going to be doing that? You understand? It's not supposed to be an emotional thing. It's supposed to be strategic, or rather, it's supposed to be a guided thing. And that's where the problem really is. And that's why people are raging about this issue of giving, tithing, and offering, because people come and expect you to empty. What's the benefit in emptying your account? Why? Why? How much do you have anyway? I'm sure most people that empty their accounts have what? How much do you have? 50,000. Why not train these people to grow so that they have 5 million? And so when they give the 10%, it's a lot more than the 50,000 that you force them to empty their accounts for. We talked of the lady that got 1 billion. If she didn't invest that money and secure it with a tithe, would she be at 1 billion? You don't stumble on 1 billion. You don't stumble. It's deliberate. You have assistants. You have 140 people and they have not stolen you. They've not even kidnapped you. You think it's easy to lead 140 people? You need wisdom. So you need a lot of assistance. Where does wisdom come from? The fear of the Lord. You need to understand this. And look, in case you didn't know, tithing is not a Christian principle. It's an earth principle. Hindus tithe. Muslims tithe. Unbelievers, total pagans tithe. They know that you take a percentage of your harvest and you go and put it under a tree to the God so that you secure the next year's harvest. If you grew up in a village or if you know any village, you know they do this. That's why people are puzzled. Christians will be puzzled. Oh, how come God is blessing that Hindu that worships 10,000 gods? This is the reason. This is a financial principle. No, you shouldn't make it an emotional thing. There is absolutely no need. There are times you may want to empty your account. I mean, look, there are times, I know there are times you may want to give at that level sacrificially, but you don't want to do that habitually. This is what you want to do habitually. Like we talked about, we are products of habit. It is what we continually do that benefits us. It's not what you do once in a while. It's what you continually do. This is something you can continually do. So my advice to you, keep your bills low. You have a house, share it. It's going to be for a while. It's not going to be forever. Because guess what? If you are doing this constantly, you do this over 1 year. Investments they are not savings. And this is why I don't like the idea of savings in any case. Because savings, you just take that money and put it in a bank or you bury it in a hole. Guess what happens? 10,000 naira this year was what last year? What 10,000 naira will buy this year, how much would it have bought last year? So it has lost value just by you saving it. Is it not better if you had invested it? And so this money, 25,000, you do this every month, that's 300,000 in a year. But then you apply the principle of what? Compound interest. Albert Einstein, one of the most brilliant minds in the world, said compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Eighth wonder of the world. I mean, we can run through a compound interest calculation. I used to have a compound interest calculator. So let's look at this and say we take that 25,000 and compound it. Let's use dollars. How much is 25,000 in dollars? Initial investment. Let's say it's $25,000. Just for because. And interest, what's a reasonable interest on if you are doing business? You buy a bag of beans or you buy 25,000 naira yam and you sell. How much interest should you expect to make? Reasonably. 20%. So 20% is reasonable. And let's say you do that monthly. Yeah? Let's say you do that for how many years? 5 years? No additional deposit, nothing. Compound interval will be monthly. And then I calculate. You see that? How much is that? How much is that? You can't even tell me straight because you have to count. That's too many numbers there. How much is that? 1.4 billion dollars. So if it's your 25,000 naira, that's your 1 billion. So I'm suspecting now that girl applied this principle to her kuli business. That's 1.4 billion naira over 5 years. It could be quicker. 25,000 naira. Which one is better? Is it not better to take? How much is 10% of 1 billion? 140 million. Is it not better to take 10% of 140 million and give regularly than to empty your account every time so that you're not even able to do this? You understand? You have to be strategic. 5 years is not a long time. I'm sure everybody will be happy to have 1 billion naira in 5 years. I don't care how inflation is going on in Nigeria. 1 billion naira, I think, will still be a lot of money. I think it will still be a lot of money. 1 million naira is still a lot of money in Nigeria. If they give you 1 million, you'll still be happy. So if you do this for 5 years, so first thing is look for how to earn this amount of money. It's not too much money. It's not money that you will scream about and be all excited about. But it's money that if you know how to compose your thoughts, you can earn. How much is this in dollars? Just over $100, maybe $120. Check. So my question is, can you earn this every month? Is it possible? So you don't need to aspire too high. Let's stay here first. How much is that? In dollars. Anyway, when you get. So try and find out how to earn this. Then try and keep your bills this low. How much is house rent typically for you? How much is house rent? 250 a year. Okay, so that comes to how much in a month? Maybe 22,000, about, let's say 22,000 a year. So if you are earning this amount of money, then 250 is too much to be paying for rent. So if you have all these people staying with you, then, like I say, it makes sense that you split it. So if you split 22,000 between how many people in your place? Three other people, or so 4 of you, 22,000, how much is that? 5,000, 20,000 even, 800 and something. So divided by 4 people, 5,000 something. So rent is 5,000 something. Transportation, how much do you typically spend for transportation every day? Not up to 1,000. Let's say 1,000. So in a month you are spending what? 25,000. on transport. Oof, that's high too.
It's not attractive, but basically,
Yeah. But you also want to keep that low. So I mean, an alternative is find a way to buy something, buy a bike, buy a bicycle, alter your lifestyle. So you understand why certain people have certain lifestyles. It's not because they're dull. No, it's because they have an aim. Yeah? And look, you don't want to tamper with this. This is investments for your security, for your future, for your eternity. You also don't want to tamper with this. You don't want to also tamper with this. These are things that enhance your life. Yeah? You've heard of kuli kuli? How much is a bag of kuli kuli? Kuli kuli. If 10 of you come together and buy 250,000 naira worth of kuli kuli, I'm sure you will sell it for a good profit. So that's an investment that keeps yielding. Keeps yielding. Yeah? But you need to put that money there. And then you don't want to just wake up one morning and then suddenly overspend. Look, you don't stumble on significant wealth. You don't. 1 billion naira, you don't stumble on it. Deliberate. Yeah? Deliberate. So this is what I found works. Like I said, a Jewish friend showed me this first. I was learning, financial, I was taking financial classes, and then he showed me this. He says this is how they take care of their money. And you see, this alone will give you a sense of achievement. You look back, you say, wow, I've done something for myself. I have stuff. Your brain wants to see that. That's what makes it a success. This is the success part. This is what makes your brain say, wow, let's do it again. Let's go back to the office. Let's go and work again. If you don't have any of these, you look back on your life and you say, what? I've worked all this while and I don't even have anything to show. And you feel like it's a waste of your time. You feel like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. You understand? Please don't get emotional about things. Apply this principle. Somehow, how many people have had money, and when you have money, somebody just calls you and says, guy, I need money. And you are wondering, does this guy use juju? How many people has it happened to? Why does that happen? Like I said, there are forces in this world. When that person calls you and asks for money, it's the world trying to create that balance for you, because the world is asking you to give that person. But now you have to be smart and make sure that it's within this percentage. Please. Like I say, if you are living on your own right now, you are not under so much pressure. When you have a family and other responsibilities, it becomes, more critical. You can't be giving stories to your children. You can't have them being sent out of school because they can't pay fees, and then you are saying, oh, we gave everything to church. It's not the wisest way to live. Balance things this way. Life is beautiful. Can be beautiful. When you have your money, I know money creates all sorts of great emotions in people. No matter how heartbroken a person is, you give a person 10 million, the person will smile a bit. Huh? In fact, for the 10 million, you can tell a person can receive 10 slaps. True or false? You are quick to say true. Huh? But let me give you 10 slaps. I'll give you 1 million for each slap. Will you accept? You can go for 100. You see, money has a way of creating emotion. So you want to be able to manage it. Yeah? So this is just a bonus that I threw in for you. And well, with this we are rounding up, coming to the end of the class. There's